Welcome back to Earn Value Management. We're going to have a little bit of fun and talk about a wall painting project. When I think about Earn Value Management, I like to think about it in a lighter way. I don't like being all serious about it. And that's why if you read my book about it, I kind of try to approach it from a light-hearted sense because it's a very serious subject to start with. So it kind of takes the edge off when you put some fun into it. So let's talk about a wall painting project. The aim is to paint a wall, and we're going to break down our wall painting project into 4 days. Day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4. Now each face of the wall is going to be painted by a contractor. His name is Herman. So Herman is going to paint the wall, and we're going to value his work for $10 for day 1, $10 for day 2, $10 for day 3, and $10 for day 4. Now, he obviously is not charging you very much, but let's take a look at what happens on this project as Herman walks through the project. So take a look at the screen. The wall painting project. Earn value management is easy. Don't be scared of it. So if we take a look at this first view of the project, $10 for day 1, 2, 3, and 4. What is BAC? Our budget at completion is going to be adding up the amounts that we plan to spend on the value of the work for each day. So what this statement means is we plan to spend $10 to get $10 worth of work done. That's really our plan value. We plan to spend that to get that done. We plan to spend that to get that done. So if we add everything up, if we make a statement like BAC is equal to the plan value for day 1 plus the plan value for day 2 plus plan value for day 3 plus plan value for day 4, we'll understand that what we're doing is just adding up these because the $10 is our plan value. So plan value is equal to $10. What that means is you're saying to your management, by the time we are done with day 1, we would have accomplished this piece of work valued at $10. By the time we're done with this, we would have gotten this done valued at $10 and so on. So if we had more things to do, we just keep adding up to P, whatever N ends up being, however many days. But that would be the statement for my budget at completion. It's cumulative plan value. So in this instance, our budget at completion is equal to 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10, which is $40. Okay? Let's take a look at the screen and see what unfolded at the end of day 1. So the wall needs to be painted. It will be done in 4 days. We plan to get each side done for $10. So in 4 days, after spending $40, we'll be done. Plan value for day 1 is $10. Same thing for 2, 3, and 4. If we take a look, the work has started. You can see Herman has started painting. He started painting, but what happened at the end of day 1? Well, at the end of day 1, if you take a look up here, what we're saying is all of the work that was scheduled for day 1 got done. So all of this work, we're saying that this red area actually got done. That's good. That means he got the work that was scheduled complete. So if we're saying that, we're going to say that our earned value is equal to what? Plan value times percent complete. 100% of what we scheduled for day 1 got done. So we're going to say earned value is $10, right? Which, in other words, is plan value times percent complete. Okay? What about our actual cost? How much money did they actually spend on getting that work done? Our actual cost in this scenario, we're going to assume that we only spent $10 to get $10 worth of work done. That's good, because it means that what you put into the work, the money you put in, the actual cost, $10, gave you an equal amount of work, and that means you are right on as far as the schedule is concerned. So we know we did well, but let's look at this in more earned value management terms. Let's find our SPI, our CPI, our CV, and our SV. What's the formula? Earned value comes first, right? Earned value divided by planned value is SPI. Earned value divided by actual cost is your CPI. And earned value minus actual cost is your AC. And earned value minus planned value is your SV. So let's throw this in. If you do quick maths, we've got 10 all the way through. This is going to be 10 divided by 10, which will be 1. This will be 10 divided by 10, which will be 1. This is 10 minus 10, which is 0. And this is also 10 minus 10, which is 0. So our SPI is 1, CPI is 1. That means at the end of day 1, at the end of day 1, SPI is 1, CPI is 1, CV is 0, there's no variance, SV is 0, no variance. That is good performance. So let's take a look at our screen and see what exactly we have. So you see the formulas for SPI, CPI, CV, SV. If we go to the next page, we're talking about day 2 here. So day 1 seems to be really, really good. Take a look at the math. Just like I said, everything is great. But when we take a look at day 2, poor Herman is unable to work as planned. You see that dripping coming from upstairs? There's a leak, and that is going to impact his day 2. His performance for day 2 isn't as good as day 1. The tap messed up all of his work. So, in other words, this is what he accomplished for day 2. If you take a look here, we're saying that on day 2, instead of getting everything done for day 2, he only got the area I'm about to shade. So he only got this area done. The shaded area is all he got done for day 2. What does that mean? That means he only got 75% of the work he set out to accomplish done. So if we're going to write some statements for day 2, they would be as follows. So the PV for day 2 was also 10. The EV, how much work did he actually get done? He got $7.50 worth of work done. Now, let's throw in another factor here, the actual cost. Take a look at the screen and let's see how much money he actually spent to get that work done. So $10 was spent at the end of day 2, but all the work scheduled was not complete. AC is $10. So going back here, our statement says actual cost is $10. So when we take a look at day 2, if we solve for our CPI, SPI, CV, and SV, we have earned value, which is $7.50, divided by our actual cost, AC. We got $7.50 divided by 10, $7.50 divided by 10 here, and then we've got $7.50 minus 10 in both cases. So our cost performance index would be 0.75. Our schedule performance index will be 0.75 as well. Our cost variance is minus 2.5. and our schedule variance is minus 2.5. Don't forget the dollar sign, very important. In the variances, you have a dollar sign or currency sign because we're talking about money. And in the case of the indices, we don't have any currency sign because the currency sign cancels out itself. So if you take a close look at that, you'll see the values for day 2. Okay? Now let's take a look at the screen and see what day 2 really represents. Putting everything on paper, you know, they got 75% of the work done. EV for day 2, this is how we calculate it. PV times percent complete. Our EV is that. And therefore, our SPI, CPI, SV, and CV for day 2 will be as follows, just like I showed you on the screen, only that you can see it a lot clearly over here. Okay? So we have minus values. Note the negatives for the variances. Very important to note those negatives. So let's take a look at the overall picture here. When we talk about how we have performed in this project, how Herman has performed, we can use these metrics to further find out, based on how he has done so far, where do you think this project is ultimately going to end up based on day 1 and day 2? And that begins to take us into the world of forecasting and EAC and TCPI and so on. So let's take a look at the screen here. The forecasting based on day 1 is going to be very straightforward because everything is perfect. So even if we apply any of the EAC formulas, we expect to have $40 as our prediction. So what if work continues as budgeted would be the first formula to use, and I'm reading the formulas that are on page 220. So if you take a look at that, you'll see that EAC based on work being performed at the budgeted rate is the formula here. If you substitute all of the different parameters, you get 40 based on that kind of estimate. If you say, well, what if our EAC is constant till project end? It's EAC is equal to BAC divided by CPI, which is 40 divided by 1 based on day 1 alone. Remember, we're only talking about day 1. We're not talking about day 2. We're not talking about day 3, which hasn't even started. We're only talking about day 1. Okay, we're going to take a look at something different, but this is all day 1. If we apply the formula, we have 40 divided by 1, which is 40. If we apply the formula for EAC based on both SPI and CPI, you get the same number. Why? Why are we getting 40 for all EAC scenarios? The reason why we're getting 40 for all EAC scenarios is it's a perfect project right now. EAC is equal to the BAC, which means if you're going to find the variance, and I should actually write this out for you because now's the time to start going into more detail. If you're going to talk about the variance at completion, we're going to have BAC, budget at completion, minus estimate at completion to give us our variance at completion. Variance at completion shows you how much variance is there likely to be at the end of the project. It's a forecast based on how much money did we say we would spend in the beginning and how much money does it look like we will spend in total based on where we are today. The difference between the budget and the forecast of final spend, we call that the variance at completion, okay? So in this perfect scenario, taking a look at our screen here, for the first day, it's 0. Our variance at completion would be 0 in this case. So let's take a look at day 1 and day 2. And I'd like to welcome you to the world of cumulative metrics. Welcome to the world of cumulative metrics. What does cumulative mean? Cumulative means you're talking about actual values from inception to date. We're not just talking about day 2, we're talking about day 2 and day 1. So if we're going to apply those formulas for our cumulative metrics, we would say SPI is the same thing, But we're not just thinking about day 2. We're thinking about both day 1 and day 2. So if you take a look here, let's have a section for day 1 and day 2. We're going to say day 1 and 2. So our planned value for day 1 and day 2 is going to be the addition of how much work did we say we would get done here, $10, plus how much work did we say we would get done there, another $10. That's going to be $20. We're talking about cumulative. If we go a step further and talk about the earned value, how much work did we actually get done? We got $10 here, we got $7.50 here. It's going to be $17.50 for the cumulative earned value for day 1 and 2. If we talk about our actual cost, $10 for day 1, $10 for day 2. That's going to be $20. So now we have our planned value, our earned value, and actual cost for our cumulative metrics. So if we apply that, taking a look at our screen, if we apply what we have to our screen, we'll be able to figure out how we got EV as 17.5 divided by 20 and so on. So this would be our cumulative SPI, CPI, CV, and SV. They give us that. And then if we go a step further to now apply our EAC formula, we just slot in the values and we get our EAC is equal to 42.50 where work continues as budgeted. Again, the formulas we're talking about are on page 220 and 221. If we say what happens if CPI stays constant and we slot in those formulas, we're going to get EAC of 45.714. If we do the same thing for the formula on page 221, what is the EAC based on both CPI and SPI? We're going to get, putting these into the formula, we're going to get 49.38. Now I'd like you to try these on your own, again, just to make sure you actually understand what we've been looking at. But that is pretty much our cumulative earned value management, our taking into consideration forecasting and so on. So our EACs, we've calculated our EACs, but let's say we wanted to apply the final formula, which is actually talked about on page 220 in the middle of the page. It says if we're trying to complete a new estimate based on a brand new bottom-up ETC, the formula will be AC plus bottom-up ETC. And that's the formula that you've got on the screen. The brand new bottom-up ETC, Herman will calculate manually because everything's flawed. All of his estimates are flawed. So he's going through a totally new estimate of ETC. And when he comes up with his ETC, we just add it to whatever we've spent on day 2 to come up with EAC based on a brand new bottom-up ETC where appropriate. We use this where our assumptions on the initial budget are found to be fundamentally flawed, so that we can't even use our previous estimates, okay? That is the world of cumulative earned value going into forecasting. There's a lot of information here. And let's talk about one more before I let you off the hook for this earned value part. TCPI. TCPI is pretty much just your calculated projection of cost performance that must be achieved on the remaining work to meet a specified management goal. If BAC is no longer viable, then we compute a forecasted EAC on how much we expect to spend in total. If the EAC is approved, which means if management says, okay, I'm going to take your estimate, approve it, and that is how much money you are licensed to spend, it's more than the BAC, then we use the EAC to calculate our TCPI. TCPI is work remaining divided by funds remaining. So TCPI is really equal to BAC minus EV divided by BAC minus AC in the case of the TCPI based on the BAC. If we are basing TCPI on the EAC, then we use the formula BAC minus EV divided by EAC minus AC. So it's really your work remaining divided by your funds remaining. When you take all that into consideration, if you look at a TCPI, which is greater than 0.05 higher than the CPI, it means the EAC might be very optimistic. Now, this stuff is not in the PMBOK guide. This is going into some further analysis. In fact, if you've ever been to the Defense Acquisition University, the DAU has some really real-world pragmatic approaches to TCPI and earned value, which is where some of this stuff is from. So let's take a look at how we can calculate TCPI based on the formula and day 2. We just take our TCPI, which is BAC minus EV divided by BAC minus AC. And we come up with these numbers if we're just going to apply what we calculated just now. 40 minus 17.5 divided by 40 minus 20. And that gives us our TCPI based on the BAC. If we are calculating TCPI based on the worst case scenario that Herman came up with, which was $68, we come up with that as our TCPI. What this means, a TCPI of 0.47, that means 47 cents worth of work must be achieved for every dollar spent. So that brings us to our cost wrap-up. Remember, this is a very accelerated look at what you need for the PMP exam as far as cost is concerned. For cost management, if you feel you are weak in this area, you need to really apply time and energy to understanding all of the core metrics for EV and all of the core metrics for forecasting, ETC, EAC, VAC, all that stuff, okay? So I would advise you to solve as many problems as possible. I actually have a few. I'm just going to go through them, and you can pause your DVD so that you can use these to practice and make sure you understand this topic very well. Okay, so here's our first question. Our first question asks you, what is the EAC based on this scenario? And the answer, look away. The answer is C. Okay, you can freeze that and take a look at how it was solved. Going into question 2, they're asking what is the ETC? And the answer is A, or 27. Going over to question 3, another scenario, what is the EAC based on the current CPI? And the answer going over to question 4, based on what you can see on the screen, what should you tell management? Is TCPI 1.4? Is it 0.98? Is it greater than 1? What exactly is happening? And the answer is C. All right. Question 5. You realize that your project team has padded the budget. What should you do based on those formulas? And the answer is determine a new bottom-up EAC. And that takes us to the end of Formula Mania for cost management. So that's my wrap-up. Know these formulas. If you need to read a little bit more, you know, some of my students, they study for, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks. I even told you about one student who studied for, well, he wasn't studying for 3 years. He just left his studies hanging. So you don't want that to happen to you. But anyway, that's our cost wrap-up. Next, we'll be moving on to quality management. We're getting way past the midway point, and we'll talk about quality, different charts in quality, and I'll show you what you need to know as far as the difference between validated deliverables, or verified deliverables, I should say, it's changed, and accepted deliverables. So see you in quality management.